Hello everyone, my name is Andrew McLean. I'm the co-founder of Spark Engine. Today we're going to be giving you a quick demo on how we're using Spark Engine to enable any AI to search the web. For those who haven't used Spark Engine before, what you're looking at here is our no-code interface. I think the question that we should answer first is, why is this useful? So for those who aren't aware, if you're calling an AI model via API, it doesn't have live access to the web. It can only use the information that it's already been trained on, making this quite useful. So diving into the project here, we have two agents that are playing a big role. The first one is receiving the user input and generating, in this case, two queries to search based on the input. And then we have an agent at the end here that's taking the user input, the search query, and the search results, and then generating a output for the user. Any project in Spark can be ran instantly using our interface. Simply just type in your input, hit send, and it'll run. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to load up a very simple web application that I built to showcase how Spark Engine projects can be called via API. So here we are in this very basic web application that I built, and it's going to be calling the project that we were just looking at. So I have my input typed in, I'm just going to hit send. And here we have the input coming in. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy going on here, but it's just an example as to how the project works. Okay, so moving on to the build portion of the demo here. I'm in a different project than one you've seen before. The other one was just cloned and cleaned up a little bit. We're going to first start with very, very simple application. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our input here. We're just going to disconnect it from the beginning of the main flow and just drag it all the way up here. So let's go first into what we're looking at here. So this is an input node, which is on the side here, and then we have the web search node, which can simply just be dragged onto the screen, and then an output node as well. So when you drag this onto your screen, very simply, it won't be connected to an output, basic functionality here. So we're just going to connect input, web search to output. And you have the option here to select how many results you want from that page. In this case, let's just go for 3. So let's just grab a search query here. And input, and just run it. So you'll know that the project has finished running when you see the red dot in the interface here. Of course, you also have light and dark themed. We like light themed for our demos. But we're going to see here very simply, we have first search, we have the second search, and we have the third search. Let's make the functionality a little bit better here. So we're going to grab our input node and just plug it in to this side of the flow. And what we have here is web search node, just like we saw. We have an output node, and then I've also plugged in an agent into the flow here that is just being asked to receive the results and put them into a nicely formatted list. This is a pretty light task, so any model should be able to get the job done. Gemma 2 9B is pretty solid at this type of small work. So once again, we're just going to paste in our input, and you can either hit enter or you can hit the blue arrow. Great, so we're all done. Go to the interface, and we have our raw search results here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we also have the nicely formatted list put together from the agent. We're going to move to another one of our projects that is actually operated as a model in our agent menu here. So our Spark Engine model, what we're going to be looking at is Charlotte's Web Lite. So I'm going to go there now. Here we are in Charlotte's Web Lite. So if you were to be calling the Spark Engine project in an agent node here, right? So we see Charlotte's Web. This is essentially what would be getting called. This brings up the complexity a little bit. So here, what we're doing is a bit more similar to the first demo that I showed. So this agent here is responsible for rewriting the user's input and returning a search query. Now, it's only one search query, and it's looking for 10 results. What we're doing with these add text nodes is simply categorizing the data as it comes in so that it's easier for the agent at the end to know what data is what. So we have the web search results, the generated search queries, and then the user requested search input. Second thing here is we're using merge nodes. So when you have two nodes and you want to converge them into one direction, simply just use a merge node, and that's going to condense them into one big text. So we're using a merge node for these first two paths, and then another merge node for the bottom path here and the top one. And here we have it going into an agent that is taking the initial user input and making a response. Okay, so now that we know how this project works, let's run a simple input through. Okay, and here we are. We have the output, which takes the input and then provides the relevant data. And you can also see here we have the run history and how many tokens the model used, etc. Okay, we're going to head back to the first project now. Okay, so we're back in the original project now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first grab our input node. And important thing to note, at least in the current version of the platform, you can only have one input node in a flow at a time, but that may change in the future. So we're just going to connect back up here and run our project. So let's change the input a little bit here. Let's do what are the leading causes of data breaches in 2024 and how many cybersecurity measures adapted to counter them. Okay, great. All done. And what I've done is hooked up a bunch of different output nodes here so we can see how the data is going through. So what differs with this flow from the one that I showed you right before is that instead of generating one search query, this agent is actually generating two. So if we want to go to the questions here, these are the two queries that we had generated. Now, this is a bit redundant. However, what we need to do first is put these into a JSON array so that we can extract them individually and then run the searches individually. For more of the higher powered models, it's not required to split this up into two generations. You can ask it to generate the questions and then essentially respond with a JSON array. However, I wanted to keep this flow dynamic, especially to the lower performing models who really strive better when it's a single focus task prompt. So a bit of redundancy, however, I built it in to make the flow a bit more dynamic and make it easier to swap in different models. So you don't have to worry about how the JSON array is going to be made or how it's going to come out. Just have to worry about which model you want to use for your specific use case. So we have the questions that came out, and then I can show you the array. So very simple array here, which is then going into our extract node. Okay, so after the extract node, we're just going to follow one path here because we have two running for each query. And then we can see what was extracted. So we have the single search that came out here, and a bit more on the technical part. We have in the extras menu here of the extract node, I have it outputting as plain text. So if this isn't checked, what it's going to do is it's going to output the field and the value. So in this case, it would be the query and then the actual query. So we don't want that. We just want the search query itself going into the web search node. After the extract node, we have it going into the web search node. It's pulling 3 results, and we can see that here, 1, 2, 3. And the same thing is happening on the other end here for the second query. After that, we simply have, again, the data being categorized for the last agent to understand it a bit better. So we have the search results and then the generated query going through a merge node, which is merging both these, and then a merge node that is merging the input and then going into the agent. So we can see here, final merge, we can see how all this data stacks up. So we have the user input, we have the generated search query, and then the actual search query results. And then we have the second generated query and then the actual results. And all this comes out to the response from the agent. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. Pretty simple application and can be built out much further, whether it be adding more search queries or even looking at web scraping as well of the search queries, or of the links found in the search query. We're going to have more tutorials on that. I might link a couple in the description as they're made, but we hope you got a better idea of how the platform works and how you can build things on here. As always, SPKs will be available in the description or in the post, wherever you're seeing this, and we'll be making the project public. And of course, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to join our Discord. We are happy to answer and help you out. Good luck, and looking forward to see what you build.